Personnel Committee meeting January 9th. In accordance with the requirements of open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and will be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The following information is provided for members of the public that would like to view the meeting remotely, with obviously the Zoom link. This agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. So I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:07 p.m. and we'll begin with public comment. Does anyone from the committee have any public comment? So I actually do. It was something in reviewing everything over the weekend. It was late to try and ask for an addition onto the agenda, but if there are any updates, Julie, regarding the rec director applications coming in for that, if there's anything any information you can provide before the meeting wraps, that would be great. But no one else from the committee has any public comment. I'm not seeing anyone from the public, any public comment. And I am not seeing any hands. So we will move on to approval of minutes from December 5th. So any questions or concerns from committee members? No. All right, then I will take a motion to approve those minutes then.
So moved.
All in favor? Second. Thank you. All in favor? Donna?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
And Wendy is an aye. We don't have any ongoing business, but new business, a job description revision for civilian traffic member. Julie, I'm thinking that the chief may have some information for us or clarification. You are muted.
Yeah, it looks like she's trying to get that into the window.
Okay.
Oh.
Do you see the document?
Yes.
Only half of it.
Only half. All right, let me zoom in. Is that too much?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Chief Gamel's having some technical issues, so I'm going to try to present this as best as I can. You can see the changes that were made in red. So the track changes. So on the first page, you can see or active members of a public safety agency. So this doesn't limit it to retired personnel. So we can also use the fire department, fire staff as well to fill these shifts. On the second page, again, we're just adding in active members and then sharing what those members could be. So fire, EMS, corrections, or sheriff's department. And I think there was, oh, maybe that was it. I thought there was one more. Gotta zoom out for a second. I gotta see if I can find Tom. Is that all? Thumbs up if I covered everything.
So can you tell us why, what generated the change? I can see what it was for, but were we having difficulty with the old one, or is this kind of a broadly just to kind of correct that you may have other candidates that you didn't expect before?
I think it's the latter. I think it was that it opened up an additional pool of applicants, and we have been utilizing at least one fire member.
Okay.
What'd I do,
Makes
Tom?
sense.
Thumbs up? All right, I guess I did good. Any other questions?
So just so I know, so if they're in one of the other departments actively, if they take on this assignment, they still get paid according to this assignment?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Looks good to me.
Any other committee questions? All right, then I will take a motion to approve the revised description for the civilian traffic member.
So moved.
Second, Sue.
Thanks. All in favor, Sue,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
and Wendy is an aye. Thank you, Julie, and thank you to the chief.
You're welcome. He says he apologizes for the technical difficulties and thanks the committee.
So we will, with that approved, we move on to our HR consultant update.
Right. Give me 1 second. I want to share. Oh, Joanna's coming in, Sue.
Okay.
Hey, Joanna.
1 second.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you? We are currently in new business under HR consultant update. We just finished up with approving the job description revision for the civilian traffic member. So we're just moving on.
I'm trying to share that. Give me 1 second here.
Julie, I can try to share it if you want.
Oh, I got it now. There we go.
You got it? Okay.
See that? Let's see.
How are you?
All right, how's that? All right, so Mary Beth.
Thank
hello.
you. Hello.
She's going to provide the committee and also employees with an update of where we're at so far with the
Sure.
comp classification study.
Julie, do you mind being my slide advancer then?
You got it.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. I think I've met most of you before at my first meeting. So we've begun the process. I was contracted over the summer to do this study. The dates of the study are November 28th to February 15th. I've met with town management, your board, as key stakeholders, currently reviewing the town salary plan, more than reviewing the job descriptions, probably have drafted 75% of them in at least rough draft form. We've got a timeline that we're adhering to. And prior to the kicking off the study, Julie and Heather sent notification to the union members with job description analysis forms and their current job descriptions. And that is what I'm using to draft the job descriptions. The completed forms have come back.
Just a slight clarification. I went to the SAP members and the
Oh, yes.
clarification.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right. Sorry.
And Sue, Eric just joined.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, good. All right, next slide.
Sure. Next slide, please. Okay, so this was the scope of the project. As Julie said, the SAP positions and 9 clerical positions. We're evaluating the job descriptions for a number of things to make sure that they're FLSA, correctly categorized. We're looking at them for each of the components of the job to see where they might fit with the classification plan. As needed, we're conducting interviews. If we have questions on the position revisions. I was on site. I did one job description interview when I was there, also met with Julie. We're looking at some of your internal positions too, to make sure there's going to be internal equity with our recommendations. Where the plan is to draft a classification plan. Right now, we're still collecting the comps, which I'll go into on the other slide. And then the deliverable will be a final report sent to the town, or a draft report for comments, and then we'll turn that into a final report. So next slide, please. So the project works concurrently. So with the job description questionnaires, when those went out to the SAP employees and the clerical employees, we were concurrently collecting salary information. Also, because I have done this for a very long time, I have a good collection of job descriptions, and I'm currently engaged in I'm finishing 2 job description studies and working on another one as well. So I have a lot of job description material to compare these two. We also went to some of the major organizations like the COA, Mass Council on Aging, Mass Library Association, the MMHR, which is Human Resources Municipal, to look at. A lot of them have salary data and job description samples. And then the town gave us a list of comparable communities: Lunenburg, Ayer, Groton, Pepperell, Rutland, Templeton, Townsend, Westminster, Wichenden. So we're looking to use as many of those as we can get good data on. Right now, I have to say, I think we have strong data from 4 communities, and we're still trying to figure out, should we swap out a couple of other towns just so we'll have a good comparison. So that's where we stand right now. I'm going to be evaluating all of our data on the 12th with a colleague of mine who is really expert at this. So we're going to be reviewing what data we have to see and assess if we need additional communities or to replace some of these on the list with those. And we're hoping that those associations, we got some good data from those as well. So that's the process. Can you do the next slide? So during the job description interviews, one of the goals is to create accurate job descriptions, look at the industry data, get the feedback from the employees and their supervisors who gave us completed questionnaires. We're looking at maybe some job title changes to modernize maybe some titles, or maybe the scope of some of the jobs may result in a changed title. And I sent last week to Julie for her review a new job description format. It's not drastically different than what you currently use. It still has the top bar with all of the basic position data, just to kind of go with a more branded approach. I put the town's, the Lunenburg seal on the top. I also added a after the page where the personnel board signs off and approves, I added another page where the employee acknowledges their job description, and that goes into the personnel file. Just so, for posterity and to have a clear understanding with employees that they're actually acknowledging their job description and that they understand what the essential functions and the physical requirements are. And, we have documentation that they agreed to that. It's helped me in some performance situations and some legal situations to have acknowledgements on job description. So I'm offering that as a proposed recommendation, but certainly not necessary. We can take that off if the town doesn't want to go in that direction. So, currently in the process of drafting these job descriptions and waiting for feedback on the format. Next slide. This is kind of a sample of what I'll probably be giving you with if we're going to change any job titles, we'll give you a list of all the jobs that we evaluated. And then if we have different job titles, we might recommend just to clarify what the job is or to categorize like job descriptions. Right now you have, here's an example, right now you have one administrative assistant job description, but there are administrative assistants in 6 departments. So one of the things that I'm looking to do and wanted to get your feedback on was, instead of just having an administrative assistant job description, I'd like to create a specific one for the assessor's office and the land use office, because the jobs are very different. They're not just one size fits all. We have Board of Health and Council on Aging. So I'm creating building and zoning, creating separate administrative assistant job descriptions, because they all have their own. Some go to meetings, some don't, some do website updates, some don't. So to have one generic job description, I feel like we should customize it to the position so that it's accurate as possible. So if we were to recommend a job title, that was the form. And then if in the new classification, we recommend an upgrade. I mean, the purpose of a job description study, as you know, is not always to just upgrade or downgrade positions. It's to make sure they're legally compliant and that it describes exactly what the employee does. But it also is, so that they're paid fairly for what they do. So if we're recommending a change, all the jobs will be listed here. And if the current grade is a 6 and we're proposing a 6, it'll still show on this chart. But this is just an example of another way to slice and dice the data that we're going to give you when the time comes. And the pay plan, obviously, that will be, that's to be determined, because we have to get the data back. We have to talk about what the philosophy is with regard to the town's compensation strategy and all of that. Where do you want to be in the market? Do you want to be in the 50th percentile? Do you want to be in the 60th? Do you want to be, above all the other issues? Do you want to be right in the middle of the pack? So those kind of things will play into your recommended pay plan. For example, I just concluded a study for a town that had no steps in their pay plan. The previous town administrator negotiated out any steps. So every employee was either a 4 or a 6 out of, 20 something clerical employees. And none of them had a step. So they would just get what the COLA was. So there was no pay range. I recommended to them to have a step plan. And by contrast, I've worked with some towns that have a 15-step pay plan. So employees, progress every year for 15 years, not only a COLA, but a step. So somewhere in the middle, based on your comps and your town's compensation strategy and what the outcome of the mix of job descriptions is, I'll provide a recommended pay plan. Typically, I recommend like 2 versions, so that, you can look at two different models and see what works for you. And that's, we'll be digging into that in the next week or so, once we get the data back. Next slide. So, this is kind of what we think about when we do a pay plan comparison. We look at what your current pay plan is. As I said, I just had a client who had no steps compared to another client who was 15 steps. We look at industry standards. We talk about your compensation philosophy. Do you want to have, some towns like to do the first 4 steps. They have an increment of 3 or 4% between them, because they feel the learning curve, as someone learns a job over the first 2-3 years, they're making big jumps, and the pay plan should reflect that. Other people feel like, no, our budget is capped at 2.5, Prop 2.5, so we can't have any more than 2 or 2.5 between pay steps. So, we're going to look and explore that with the town on philosophy. And, we're analyzing each of the jobs, melding that with the market research we've done. And then we also engage in, once we make a recommendation, we engage in like a ranking where the positions stand, how they compare to one another. And then obviously, you know, you don't want to cause salary compression and give you recommendations for these, you know, very high wage things that will further push up, you know, the department head salaries. And then that would cause salary compression at, you know, the next level. So those are all of the comparisons that we do when we're going to make a recommendation to you. I think, so just where we're at right now, we're continuing with the process. Julie and I chat, you know, or email regularly. I'm planning to get the draft job descriptions to Julie by January 20th, a pay plan by February 8th, and then get feedback on all of that. And then they'll get included with the feedback in a draft report. So the draft report will talk about, you know, here's the pay plan we recommend. Here's the philosophy of why we did it. You know, here's the range spread, and here's the steps, and here's the difference between steps. And this is where we feel your jobs should be placed with these job titles. So all of that, as we go, we continue to get feedback, get it back, and then the report should reflect that on February 15th. And again, it's always a draft because, you know, you're the client. And, I've spent most of my career in municipal government being the customer, so I'm very, very tuned in and sensitive to, I'm not just going to give you a report of what I think. It has to work for your town. I've been the client way longer than I've been the consultant. So, you know, I try to give a realistic product that's workable for everybody. So that's where we're at. Any questions?
I do. I have a couple of questions if that's. The first one is with the number of positions, how many job description interviews did you conduct with both employees and with supervisors?
Employees had the option of interviewing or just submitting the form. And so far, I've had only 2 scheduled. So I assume next week we may, you know, have more based on, but we have received back all of the forms, and unless I have questions or dig a little deeper, there's one position that I was scheduled to meet with, and I hope that I can do it via Zoom because it's somebody who holds 2 job titles with the same, within the same department. So I wanted to drill down a little bit on that and see what the job description was going to look like. I interviewed the executive assistant in the town manager's office because there was no job description for that. And we, you know, sort of went through all of the essential functions, and I got a really good feel for the job by chatting with her, with Nancy on that. So yeah, when people propose job descriptions, I have dates open that I can plan to come. I think one of them I had on the calendar was January 18th. So if anybody wants to do an interview on that day, I'd be available via Zoom or in person. And then I'd be able to get the drafts to Julie by the 20th.
How would they reach out? Because I know some employees were definitely eager to meet with you.
I think that's a Julie question. I don't know how it was communicated.
Julie, how were employees let know that they had the opportunity to and how to go about?
So my understanding of the process was that they completed this form, and if Mary Beth had questions, then we were going to reach out to the employee to set up an interview. Okay. And we haven't gotten that far from what I understand. Yeah. We had those 2 scheduled because there were no job descriptions. But other than that, you know, people who turned in the form, I think, shared their concerns. And I think once we had talked, there's probably maybe a couple that Mary Beth might need some further information from the employee on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm probably jumping the gun here, but I'm a little concerned with the timeline. We need to make sure this is wrapped up by February. And I know we're getting the draft report, which is going to provide us with the drafts of the comps and the job description. Of course, if there's feedback, there's time's ticking. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get you the job descriptions by the 20th of January. So the
Okay.
feedback that I receive will be in the February 15th report. So the report will list the job description with, you know, here's the current grade, here's the recommended grade.
Mhm.
The only tricky part is for the ones that have to be bargained. You know, that's a whole separate thing for the clerical union. So those I'll probably put as a TBD and not put their salary plan in there, because that would be presumptuous of me to assume what's going to happen at the bargaining table.
Yep, no, that's fine. Okay, thank you.
In regard to that, when Mary Beth, when you get the forms back, if what is written is different, more, less, are you reaching out to the supervisor in that case to try and get more clarity from what is being stated?
Well, the supervisor has reviewed the job description analysis forms. So we, you know, it's pretty much it appears to be a united front on all of the jobs I've done so far. You know, quite often I come across people who are really just trying to elevate their jobs and they just add a ton of stuff, or they say they supervise someone and they don't. But I have to say, through I'm 75% through, and they're very straightforward. So when I provide a draft, it goes back to the employee and back to the supervisor, and that's where maybe the dialogue takes place. Like, oh, you totally didn't capture that I do, you know, this board's meetings, or, you know, that I have to, you know, do this financial function, things like that. So that's where we catch it if needed.
And the other thing, Julie, I noticed in terms of the timeline is it's just, our meeting is like just prior to it,
When is your next meeting?
February 6th.
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason when you mention the 8th, I get that, Julie. I don't know. I don't know how everybody else on the committee feels, as we have, we have sort of dates already outlined, but that
if there are not a lot of changes to the job descriptions, or, if there's not a lot of stress or reactions to the job description, I could possibly have a draft pay plan to you by the 6th. Now, keep in mind, again, I'm not going to recommend anything that has to be bargained, right? So I can give you the SAP pay plan. I could probably get you that on the 6th.
That's all this committee would need anyways, is the SAP. The clerical is more for the job descriptions, where a lot of the positions cross over between the SAP. Like, you'll see the administrative assistant. There's one for the SAP, there's one for clerical. So if we're updating it for the SAP, might as well update the clerical union. So the pay, this just needs to focus on the SAP.
That, and to me, that's a real, like, as far as, collective bargaining goes, it's interesting to me that some are clerical union and some are not, but the job description is the same. So that's one of the comments I plan to make in the report, is maybe how to rectify that. But I can, I didn't realize the date of your meeting. I apologize. I can get you a draft plan by February 6th, for sure.
Okay. And
like I said, that still gives me 10 days for feedback on job descriptions. And then a week to do the pay plan.
And Julie, as far as and I don't know if this would happen after, initial information delivery in February, where's the town looking to come in sort of compensation wise, as Mary Beth pointed out, to be in the middle? Where are we looking?
Haven't discussed that yet.
All right, I've asked a lot of questions. Anybody else have any questions?
All good questions.
I am not seeing any other questions. So next up, Mary Beth, appreciate you taking the time to meet with us and give us this.
Sure. Thank you. And if any board members have any additional questions that occurred to you after tonight, feel free to reach out through Julie and I'll respond. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to getting you this report.
Thanks for the update, Mary Beth.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Eric, you want me to keep moving on? Do you want to jump in? I'm good to keep going. All right. So facilities director new hire is our next item on the agenda.
Yes. Just see. Okay, I'm unmuted. That's good. All right, so I presented you with a brief description. And based on his experience, sorry, I'm just trying to open this. His experience of 9 years as a project manager and 3 years of construction coordinator. We feel that his well-rounded knowledge of the building construction and maintenance would back up our request to start him at a step 5.
Julie, I had a question regarding this particular candidate.
Yep.
Until someone is hired in the rec director position, this facility would oversee everything involved with rec, yes?
Yes.
Is there any family relation between some of those involved on the rec side with this employee? That they would have, that overseeing folks involved with the park, on the park side?
I'm not sure I understand your questions.
Believe that this candidate would oversee his dad or work closely with his dad? Is there no conflict in that, or no question mark until a rec director is?
So you think his dad is a staff?
Little
You think
league.
his dad's a lifeguard? Oh, little league, that's different. He doesn't, no, this recreation, he's overseeing the facilities. And then
Right.
when you say in recreation and parks, I'm thinking the beach staff.
No, I meant on that side until a rec director is hired. And may not be any issue at all.
I don't think that's an issue. I don't see how they've interacted before, well, not having a facilities director. I'm not sure. I mean, it's always fallen under the DPW director before, and I'm not sure how much contact they've had with Little League. Is that what you said?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was just curious. And is he available to start immediately?
He's going to be appointed on the 17th, so next Tuesday select board's meeting, and then we have a tentative start date of the 23rd.
Okay.
And then that rolls into your question earlier about the rec director, resumes not coming in. But, at this point, we're kind of waiting till he comes in anyway, so he can have a say in his employee as well. So
But
it's right around the corner.
None that really would be good fits. None. Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
Julie, the facilities director, this I know job description wise, is this person is in charge of all town buildings other than school, correct?
Correct.
And what about the parks? Is that part of this person's job description?
The parks would fall under this person as well. Yes.
And does this, since it's a new position, does it have a budget? Or is it like the money to maintain buildings, to maintain parks? Is that, where's that gonna come from, since it's a new position?
I believe they do have but I think the maintenance of the parks, Bill's here, so he can speak to this too, if I'm wrong. I think the maintenance of like the landscaping still falls under DPW. The facilities would be more responsible if there was issues with, say, a shack, or if we did have restrooms on site, something to do with an actual facility of the park. Maybe a bench is broken and needs fixing, that would fall under facilities. If that makes sense. Oh, Bill. Chime in, Bill.
Okay, the landscaping contract
Yep.
falls to the facilities director.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Which director?
Facilities.
So the landscaping is gonna fall under facilities.
So, Bill, what's your title?
DPW director.
Okay. Are you, just as an example, so I'm on the town youth baseball and softball board as well. And I heard about some vandal drove their truck or car onto the field over at Marshall Park in the outfield. And kind of tore it up a couple months ago, maybe. And so something like that, does that fall under you?
No, it doesn't. It's all on facilities director now.
Right, so that, I guess that goes back to my other question. What kind of budget does the facilities director have?
I don't have that information. I can get that for you.
I mean, because since there was never a facilities director, I don't imagine that there's a budget. On the other hand, things have broken down at buildings forever, so the money came from somewhere, right? It's not like things didn't get fixed before.
Yeah, I don't have his budget. I can request a copy of that from Heather, or at least
This is Sue. I believe I was at that town meeting. I believe that there was a budget approved when the new position was approved, and then they sorted through the DPW budget to carve out whatever would be part of the facilities. And so they did a little bit of that in terms of which pieces, like Bill just said, the landscaping would have been in probably previously in the DPW budget, that would have been moved over. So I think they created the budget at the time the town meeting approved this new position last year.
Right, so this is Bill again, that she's correct. They took the budget that was previously under the DPW for the landscaping and parks, and moved it just over to the facilities director.
All right, thank you.
I would make a motion if we're ready to approve the recommendation of the personnel manager to bring the new hire in at, I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. I don't know what the level is, but step 5 of that level.
grade 16.
16, thank you.
I second that.
Wendy, you want to run this?
Sorry, I'm mute. Are you going? Are you going? I will step back.
No.
Sorry. I was saying, I thought I saw a hand raised, but I don't now. So we've got a motion and a second. So all in favor, Eric,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
and Wendy is an aye. Thank you. So you said the 23rd is tentative start date, Julie?
Yes.
All right, we are up to public comment. Anyone from the public have any public comment? Not seeing anyone from the committee have any public comment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in. Donna,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Sue's gone. And Wendy's in.
No, I'm here. I'm
Oh, Sue.
here.
Okay,
I approve.
all right. So we are adjourned at 6:48. Have a great study. We'll see you guys in a few weeks.
Thank you, Wendy. Great
Thank
job.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.